council meeting to order.
Augubright,
Here.
Cullinan,
Here.
Curran,
Here.
Mieski. Here. Rivara.
Here. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve the minutes of the April 24th regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 24th, 2020 regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan, Curran,
Aye.
Mieski. Rivara.
Aye. Public comments on agenda items only. Having none. Next, I need a motion to approve the bills as presented for payment.
Make a motion to approve the bills as presented for payment.
Second.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Mieski. Rivara.
Aye. Now we have number 7, swearing in of Chief Doug Hayes as Oglesby Chief of Police. Harry?
All right, you'll meet me in the middle here.
All right.
We can have a read along, because
All right, that
don't have
helps.
to remember everything.
Yeah, yes, this is. Take now.
If you raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, your name,
I, Doug Hayes,
having been appointed to the Chief of Police
having been appointed to the Chief of Police
in the City of Oglesby,
in the City of Oglesby,
in the County of LaSalle aforesaid,
in the County of LaSalle, aforesaid,
on May 4th, 2020,
on May 4th, 2020,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Illinois,
of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Chief of Police
of Chief of Police
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you and welcome.
Need a second, a motion and a second to the appointment of Chief Doug Hayes to the IVRD board.
I'll make a motion for the appointment of Chief Doug Hayes to the IVRD board.
I'll second that.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Mieski.
Aye.
Rivara.
Aye. I need a motion to approve, motion and approval to seek bids for the sale of property located at 246 East Walnut Street. That is the Schmidt property.
Now, folks, what I sent you, I don't.
216, right?
Do I got it wrong? It was my letter, did you say my letter was wrong, or?
No, the agenda says 216.
Okay.
Okay.
See what the letter says.
Don said my letter might have got it wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was, I 246, and I just changed it. Well, it's 216 West Walnut Street, the Smith property for demolition, the structure on current property.
Yes.
Left mine.
Oh, okay. The only thing, we have title to this property. I tried to put together, an RFP. I don't take any pride of authorship. Before we publish anything in the newspaper, we may want to have Brian Spellich and, Jim Kleiner take a look at that to see if I'm missing anything. I tried to do it so that if somebody, it's my understanding that it's probably a tear down, but I at least put a provision in there that said if somebody wants to, give us an RFP to fix it, then, we could consider fixing it. That's in the TIF district, so we have, it's much easier to sell that property because it's in the TIF district, because the city has sale powers in the TIF district that are beyond the powers that we would have generally as a non-home rule municipality. So you can pretty much negotiate with someone, you know, if somebody says, look, I'll take it down, I'll pay to take it down if, you know, the city will deed the property, then we can, you know, we can enter into a contract to do that. If someone wants to, you know, wants to repair it, you know, you guys could consider that, if, you know, if that makes sense. I know we had a tear down property in Spring Valley, or a property we thought would be a tear down, and someone came to us and asked the city if we would, you know, give them TIF money to help them rehab it. And we sort of figured, you know, it's gonna cost us, it was one of those buildings that butt up against one another, so it's gonna be really expensive to take down. We're gonna have a 25-foot lot that probably couldn't even use for a parking lot. So we decided to give them some TIF money in exchange for the person rehabbing it, and they fixed it, and now the building's on the tax rolls. It's probably more expensive than what it would have cost to demolish it, but it, you know, it's a political decision. You guys would have to see what, you know, what offer you get. So, I would suggest that you wanna get moving on that. You may wanna just make sure that, Brian Spellich, Jim Kleiner get a chance to look at that notice, and then it'll just be a question of having Amy, you know, publish the notice and see if we get anybody, you know, anybody that's.
And how long would you leave that,
Oh,
notice published?
I think I'd publish it at least a couple of weeks, and I think I'd probably give somebody, you know, at least 30 days, maybe,
Yeah.
at least 30 days from the first publication notice. That'd be my thought. You can go out,
At least, I'd say.
you can go out even a little further.
It might take a little bit longer to figure out what's going on there, that kind of thing, so. And with the current situation, I don't think they're really gonna be opening anytime soon anyway, so.
Yeah, you know, given
I
what's
feel
going
like-
on, you may even wanna
Yeah.
go out, you know, that's a good point. You
Yeah.
may even wanna think about saying, if we're gonna publish it, you know, maybe we wanna wait a few weeks and then go 45 days, which, you know, that pushes us hopefully into June,
Okay.
you know, so where somebody
Until we get open.
past this, yeah.
We're gonna be, you know, have to go a little slow.
But I do think, you know, you wanna get that out there. I mean, you may find someone who's say, you know, I'll take it down, save the city the expense of using TIF funds, take it down, and then try to sell it.
Yeah, hopefully somebody will be interested, so. I need a motion on
I'll make a motion and approval to seek bids for the sale of property located at 216 East Walnut Street.
I'll second.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Mieski,
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Approval to resume Oglesby facade program for 2020 and establish committee members. Tom and I have talked about it. He's come up with a recommendation, so.
I will make a motion to approval to resume Oglesby facade program for 2020 and establish committee members.
I'll second.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Mieski,
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Discuss and approve water rate extension. That was due to the end of this month.
It was gonna start May 1st, is what it was gonna start, yeah. That was the original
So,
plan.
so we're extending it to the end of the month.
So Mayor and I talked about this. We can extend, you know, every time we extend it, obviously that delays revenue that we were established in our plan, maintenance plan to come in. So extending it one more month does do that. Extending it past July 1st, though, is when we'll start having other issues and where we lose eligibility for certain grant programs. So I don't have an issue necessarily, considering what's going on in the world and it's affecting our residents, of extending it one more month. But past that, I think we need to have a more detailed conversation if that's what we want to do. If there's no questions on that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the water rate extension to start on June 1st of 2020.
Second.
I heard Tom first.
Yes.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Mieski,
Aye.
items on old business, Summer Fun Fest.
We had discussed last time that we would want to wait until closer to sometime in the May month to decide if we were going to continue our efforts with Summer Fun Fest or if we were going to pull the plug on it. I don't know what other people's thoughts are on it. I personally can wait until the next meeting because maybe we will have some idea of what June is going to look like, and that would still give us our 45 days for cancellation of the bands. But something that was brought to my attention by one of the committee members for the Summer Fun Fest is the 50/50. And they had requested or asked if it would be possible to move the 50/50 drawing to the fall, because there have been no live events for them to actually even sell the tickets to. The ticket sales have been slow. The money that's in there, a large portion of it was placed in by the city of Oglesby to get it kicked off well for this year, and it would not be beneficial to actually hold the drawing right away. I just didn't know if we could legally push it out or not.
I don't see a reason why we can't. I think number one, the emergency ordinance we passed gave the mayor the right to, modify contracts. The other thing, and just so everyone understands, and I didn't realize that until before the meeting, Commissioner Lieski, when you pointed out that the city actually funded $5,000, to get it started. I mean, I would think if we didn't extend it, there'd almost be problems with not extending it, because we really shouldn't be giving away $5,000 of municipal money. If we think about it, if you only sell, let's just say $1,500 worth of tickets, that means somebody's we're gonna be giving away, potentially.
Didn't we fund it though from I understand what you're saying, but didn't we fund it technically from funds from the last year's
That's
Fun
correct.
Fest thing?
I'm
It
sure-
is city funds,
yeah.
I suppose.
I'm sure we did, but it's still,
Okay.
I'm just thinking about it from the standpoint, it would seem to me that someone could argue that, that's not.
I don't know if that legally changes it, considering it was a pot of money from the winnings of last year already. I don't know if that.
I think it obviously makes more sense, because usually, don't you usually have 10 or 15,000, how much did you have in there last year?
Do you remember?
It's about, the pot was small, it was $12,000.
But even 12 is,
So we actually funded or kickstarted it with $6,000 dollars.
For this year.
For this year.
In the event that we don't have Fun Fest, what is the next publicly sponsored event? Is it Harvest Fest or is it one
Harvest
before there?
Fest and then the Boots and Blues.
Okay.
In October, I think, Fall Fest.
Yeah, somewhere, I'm not sure when.
Can't just kind of keep that going until,
I think that's what they'd like to do,
run it, make it more money.
Let it build up.
So are we looking to take an action on voting on that or waiting until we find out?
Very
What's going on
maybe
with that?
just kind of go from
To the next meeting.
Why
Yeah.
don't we wait till
Yeah.
next meeting and kind of get an idea? By next meeting, hopefully we'll have an idea what the future is looking at.
My only concern with that, I think Fun Fest is exactly 30 days away from our next meeting though. There's no concerns about that being too close for bands and vendors or anything like that?
I think we're okay.
What does the carnival have to say? Do they have any vision of what's
I-
going on? 'Cause I
I-
feel like they're missing out here.
Right.
The
No,
carnival.
I've talked with them a couple of times. Hopefully, they're looking for that the governor will open it up. We'll see what happens. They were in Texas. From what I understand, they are moving the carnival to the Midwest. They have some dates in states, in places where they feel they can operate. They like to make sure that it's open. We'll have to wait and see what the governor says.
I think, just one suggestion is we better make sure we carefully read that contract, because
Well,
I think the
Force majeure though, isn't it? Because of the corona, no one
Yeah,
foresee this.
Yeah, they,
Oh,
But I just would say that we, we wanna make sure that we notify them as soon as we can.
Okay.
I don't see the governor opening up
I don't
in
see.
June, the state to allow, the type of gathering, I mean, you guys have big crowds there.
Yeah,
Yes.
at least without any kind of restrictions, probably.
Yeah.
Hotspot right now.
You would have 2,500,
we would have at least that many, at the next meeting, I'm sure we're gonna have to make the decision to go one way or the other. And hopefully by then we'll have the governor's, guidelines, what he's expecting, and we can move forward.
And we make sure the contracts are for 30 days and not 45.
Actually, from it's my understanding, we can cancel the contract with the carnival, 4 hours, 24 hours, and there's no penalty.
in fairness to them, though, you probably wanna make it, if they can pick up someplace else.
No.
As soon as possible.
You're right, Jim, I intend to be as fair with them as I can. They've been good to work with, and we wanna make sure that they're treated fairly. Next item under old business is, discussion on Seneca Square.
I asked to put this on here. Last meeting, we made a vote, that had some negative consequences to those that were kind of looking forward to Central Square. And I felt bad that I never took the opportunity to explain my vote. I didn't put up a fuss about it because it technically didn't say discussion. But I thought I owed it, to people, if I'm gonna make a vote on that, to explain. I don't know if other commissioners want to or not, but for me at least, I know I talked to all the commissioners at one point about this, and I think I even talked to the committee about this, but my thought, about what they had planned for Seneca Square, no disrespect to the last administration, they saw an issue, they saw a depression of economic development, and they looked into take, for options. And it's fantastic, they did a lot of research, and they came up with a plan. Now, I can't say for certain whether that plan would have worked or not. But the reason I had an issue with it was, I did not think there was enough evidence, that the cost was worth the risk, especially the continuing cost of how much it would have cost to keep that running. That was my issue with it. So that's why I think it was a good vote, and that's why I voted against it. Now, my thoughts are, we didn't talk about what we still think we can do with it. I still think there are some merits of the program that are good, without having to incur those ongoing costs altogether. I don't know when we want to discuss that, if we could do it now or at a future meeting, maybe a working meeting, but I still think there's some positive options that we can do with parts of that plan.
So the parks are closed, and we can't meet in groups of more than 10, so when's Seneca Square gonna be used, if we do anything right now?
Well, I think,
I really don't think it's gonna be this year at all, at this point.
well, I think it's a good idea to talk about it right now because, obviously, even if we had a plan to go forward to open it up or something like that, it wouldn't be being utilized anyways.
Yeah.
So I think now is actually a good time to discuss it because at some point in time, we are gonna go back to normal living and normal life and things like that.
We have contacted both of the property owners on either side. Both of them, have agreed that, as a start, we could put murals on both of those buildings. But, being we're in this basically lockdown, everything has been put on hold until we can, get out, take a look at what's available for us and how we can, proceed.
So are you thinking the next step is, once we come out of lockdown, to put together a committee together to come up with suggestions or something like that? That's kind of the plan? I'm good with that.
Okay. Public comments? Not having none? Go on to commissioners' reports. Huckleberry?
I have nothing to report tonight.
Carrie?
The fire department last month, did have 10 call-outs. The ambulance was a little slower last month as well. They had 62 call-outs with 30 of them being transfers. I don't have a police report for tonight to give. I do know that I'm going to be meeting personally with Chief Hayes, and we're going to be developing some priorities and what those reports might look like going forward.
Jason?
Thank you. I do actually have quite a bit. So first thing, water department hydrant flushing was completed. No new hydrants were identified as issues. Water tower bids, we're looking to get them in 13 May. So it should be about 5 days before the next meeting, so hopefully we'll have something on the agenda to put forward. Electric department.
Sorry.
Sorry, our live feed is sideways, so
Did it fall?
we're just trying to figure out how to fix it without making a scene, so.
I'm good to go. Everybody's back home. Everybody's back home looking at the thing.
We're getting a
They're
lot of
interested.
comments, we're getting a lot of comments, fix your video, so we're trying to discreetly do that without interrupting anybody.
What's up, Jason?
Sorry, Jason.
Yeah, that's all I need. Okay, as far as GTI, the electric department has completed all the power requirements they need for their next phase. They're gonna be starting that in the next couple of weeks. This ties into the next subject I was gonna talk about. They are currently working on, which is the continuing phase after that, which is the backup circuit, to give them redundancy. The reason I'm mentioning this is back many, many months ago, we talked about the possibility of adding other electric rates for commercial and industrial users to make ourselves more competitive. We discussed those options. I met with BHMG, which is our electrical engineers that do all of our recommendations for us. They wanted back in November to do an electric rate study. Apparently they recommend doing one every 5 years. I think it's been 9 years since we did one. The reason I talked with the mayor, we didn't want to do it at the time. There's a lot of things that we've had change with our electric, with our revenue, with our the rates we pay, our electricians, the possible income we'd be getting from GTI. And the thing is, I didn't want to have them do their rate study off of projections. I'd rather have them have concrete information to be better suited. So in the next couple of weeks, GTI is actually launching into the next phase. That's what I'm going to ask that we put on the agenda to talk about the electric rate study, which again is a positive thing. It's not the same as the water rate study. So that's going on with that.
What percentage of studies come back, we need a lower rate? I bet it's less than 5%, if that. I'm just pointing it out here.
You know,
We're paying these people
I
to
wish
come up with studies.
I wish I could answer that question for you.
Actually, our electric rates are competitive. If you take a look across the line, we're probably in the lower third on electric rates. Do I think we need another rate in there to try to take care of the smaller businesses? I think it would be advantageous for us to look at it. The other thing we've got to take a look at is what happened when you shut down 32% of your generation, and you're going to get that generation. Part of it will be from solar and wind in Illinois and in surrounding states. The thing that makes no sense to me is that they're gonna backfill the rest of the generation with fossil plants from Missouri, Kentucky, and Indiana. They just had the auction, and I really don't get my arms around it and fully understand the results of that. But our electric rates for residential and commercial and industrial will be competitive. And I think if we keep them competitive, I think we'll be in good shape. And with our improved electric reliability that Jason and the department have given us, we're going to be in good shape for development too.
So to answer your question, Tommy, I can't answer directly what you're asking, but I can tell you it's not the same as the water rate study. We had a really good idea going in that we had a problem with our revenue stream. That is not the case with the electric. The big things is there's so many changes that has happened. How much electricity we tend to sell, the rates that we pay our electricians, the fact that a load's gonna be increased. If I remember, now this is before I was here, the issue was electric used to be even cheaper when we had Bootsy's here. Then when Bootsy left, that's when they had to do a rate study, from my understanding. I probably shouldn't be talking about this if I don't know 100%. But from my understanding, that's when the rate significantly changed in Oglesby. I don't know if it could go the other way again. I don't know that answer. But right now, what I'm saying is I don't foresee a major issue with our electric revenue. The biggest reasons are is to make sure that we're charging the right amount, and if we had to develop new rates to charge for certain customers that fall in certain categories, we need a study to kind of put together what that could be. So that's kind of the reason for that, and the reason I've delayed 6-7 months is because I didn't want to have to do that off of estimates. I wanted to actually have concrete numbers, because I'm told this rate study takes about 4 months to do. So if we start that right when we start getting our new load that we see coming into Oglesby, we'll have a much more accurate picture. So, street department. Chipping's gonna continue throughout the week. I know this helps a little bit with what we got. I know we had a burn ban, so the chipping for branches should make that a little bit easier. Street maintenance, this is a topic that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. So for those that are interested, I know I talked a long time ago that we wanted to start the process earlier in January, February, to discuss which streets we want to get maintenance on. The good news is that did happen, that did occur. However, mid-January, I got notified about the state was going to be doing a complete new overlay for North Columbia. Well, then, of course, I was out for some medical stuff for a while, and it took a while to get some information, but we found out that wasn't necessarily this year. That is going to be the summer of next year that the work is actually going to continue. So the big question is, for those that know, obviously our water main under Columbia has to get tore up 3-4 times a year because of some kind of break. I'd really hate to have a brand new, pretty looking street that we tear up 3 to 4 times a year. So the thing is, what can we do to repair that water main? Well, we looked at lots of different options, and unfortunately the information just came through the cost estimate. The cost estimate is so expensive for these large water mains that it's more than what the community block development grant I was hoping to get, plus our TIF fund, all the TIF fund, and our water sewer combined. It's pretty significant. So there is another option, and we are looking to do this, what's called the Rebuild Illinois grant that the governor's put forward. It's a fantastic grant. I'm hoping we can get it. We're kind of under the gun though to make sure we get all the information we need before we can put in for it. So that is going to be coming in the next couple weeks that we'll have to get some stuff together for. Whether or not we want to put money for it or not, for points to get considered, that'll be a discussion we'll have to have. But I just want to make sure people understand that's the reason the street maintenance discussion's been kind of delayed, is because we have an opportunity at one of our biggest projects that we've probably ever that we've undertaken a very long time anyways, at least as long as I've lived here. So, because it's multi-million dollars. So more to follow on that in the next couple weeks, and that's all I have.
Colin?
This is reference to the Parks Department. I spoke to Bobby Gigi, and we made some decisions on, there are some cancellations too. The first cancellation, the Mayor's Day Parade scheduled for Tuesday, May 5th at 6 p.m. has been canceled this year due to the COVID-19. The Oglesby Parks and Recreation Summer Camps sign up on Saturday, May 16th has also been canceled. The summer camps are postponed until a later date. And we did talk, and I did have some people text me and call me, and I've talked to other people about opening the parks. And we talked about it, and I talked with Bobby Gigi, and he agreed with me that we don't see a problem opening McFedrin Park and the parks.
Excuse me, I do.
You do?
Let me just
Well, can I just finish before?
Go ahead and finish.
Maybe it's something that you'll attach to. Partially opening the parks, there would still be no use of the playground equipment. We want that covered up so the kids aren't allowed to play on it because of germs and stuff. And the shelters, the docks, the restrooms, the baseball field, the basketball courts, and the park benches, all that'll be off limits. There will be, because there will be no groups or gatherings. to use those, facilities, the shelters, the baseball diamond, the basketball courts. And, we were talking about it, and we said that if they used social distancing and there were no groups gathering, that it would be okay, but we'd have to have police patrol to observe, you know, to go around and check on it every now and then. And, you know, if there is a group there, disperse the group, or make sure that they're using, social distancing for themselves to, Buffalo Park opened up, I think Peru's open, but they have a officer up there.
Baker's Lake has
Right.
been open. They've
Right.
never closed.
But we, like I said, I tell people we can't put somebody down there all day long,
Mhm.
so,
But
But,
at
I
the
mean-
Big Veteran Park, you're looking at basically for fishing, is that it,
Well,
or for using the
I
trail?
had a lady call me from in town here, and she said she takes her 10-year-old son down there and he fishes a lot.
Right.
That's what she does when she has time to spend time with them and that, and she just asked me, and I said, well, I said, I don't know how long you wanna lock something up. I mean, if you use social distancing, I mean, I know there's people that walk around McFedrin Park all the time, and like I said, I'm not gonna sit there and tell you can't do it, because they do it anyhow. I don't have anybody down there to surveil the property, so, but I would assume that if there was a case of people gathering, that somebody close by or somebody that would observe the property would let somebody know here, and we could work with it.
I would actually be in favor of like opening McFedrin, so you could use the lake for fishing.
Right, yeah,
Or the
that's-
track for walking.
But like I said, with these
But
other
keeping
parks,
the park-
the problem is the
equipment.
bathrooms would be locked, so there's no picnicking. You can't go to the shelter and picnic. If you are down there, I think Bobby wanted to take that off. So that you can't use the stuff like that, the bathrooms would be locked.
But it's more walking, hiking, fishing.
Right,
is all we're-
right.
Open it up.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much
Tennis
fishing.
courts for
Well,
tennis, I mean,
you can only
it's.
put so many people on a tennis court if you're playing tennis. I
That's
mean,
what I'm
if
saying,
you're
so
not playing
you're
tennis-
gonna be social
One-on-one
distancing.
only.
Right, if you're not playing tennis and you got a group there, then they need to be, they need to be,
No, but I'm saying for actually playing tennis, you're gonna be social distance playing
Well,
tennis.
sure, that's the way I look at it. You can only put probably, 4 people on that court at one time?
Yeah.
I think there's only two courts
There's
there.
two courts.
Yeah, but I mean,
You can have 8 total.
you know, I mean, that was my idea, the mayor. I don't know which you come up with, but I mean, you know, that's what was brought to my attention.
Anything else?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, do you have anything else?
No, that's pretty much basically what I had here.
You know, I understand that everyone wants to get things back to normal, get back to work, have friends over, socialize, go out, etc. But I'm gonna ask for your patience and understanding in why and how we got here. It's not a mystery. Because of the virus 19, in the United States, we've had 1,143,433 cases. There's been over 66,760 deaths. In Illinois, we've had 66,466 cases. We've had 2,662 deaths. LaSalle County went from 55 to 67 cases Sunday, and we have registered, just in the last day or so, 1 confirmed case at the Veterans Home. We closed the parks due to complaints that residents, visitors were not keeping with social distancing and hauling 3 garbage cans of beer cans every other day from the landing. I would want to suggest that we continue the way we're operating now for at least 2 weeks to see where we go with these positive cases. The case at the Veterans Home concerns me. One case is one thing, but one case can lead to a lot more. Safety of the people is number 1. And if we can keep it like it is for the next 2 weeks, if doesn't go up, then I think we can start
Well,
relaxing.
it's gonna go up because they're testing more people now, but
Well, I understand.
I think you gotta open something here, you're gonna just lock people in and hope.
And you have.
The nursing home's completely locked down and someone's still got it
But
there,
you
so.
gotta have everybody.
Let's look at that.
You gotta have everybody tested before you can.
Say it's
make an
shrinking, yeah.
Testing is a major part of this.
Sure.
You know, the easiest thing now is, and I'd like to us to come up with, okay, we're gonna do this, you know, you wanna open, McFedrin Parks for walking. You know, it was a tough decision to close the landing. We had a couple, gentlemen that would go down there early in the morning, or other people, and they were, you know, put their, poles in the river and catch some fish and just try to enjoy themselves and, you know, get out.
But I think, excuse me for butting in, but I think if you have some surveillance, I mean, if it doesn't go the way we want it to go, then we did talk about if we would have no other choice but to close them down. But it was just something we wanted to see if we could, because like I said, I think Bobby's had people talking to him, I've had people texting me, talking to him, you know, at Casey's or wherever I go, and asking, you know, if they were gonna open them. I said, well, you know, Buffalo Rock just opened up. I said, but that's Buffalo Rock, and, I says, you still got Star Rock closed because of, you get the Chicago traffic, and right now Chicago, I mean, we don't need a lot of traffic from Chicago with the hot spots they have there.
I agree. That's
But they're
why-
coming to the IMN Canal now, the governor opened that, so at this point, I don't understand why we can't open our park, cause IMN Canal was packed last weekend, and I bet if they ID'd everyone, they're not from LaSalle.
Like I said,
It's
those
just
are the
annoying
people
that we're gonna
asked for it. I said that
yes, no on
if
certain
it doesn't
things.
work out, we just go back and close it, but like I said, I'm the one, I don't wanna be the one taking the blunt for this, but I feel that if we have supervision, and like, if we can get the police every now and then to go down and just survey, just be seen. I mean, I don't think now, I'm not worried about McFedrin Park. I know there's some people that, very few go out there and fish. I never seen big groups of people fishing out there. It's usually younger kids that fish for like the rodeos but I mean, it was something that we did discuss, and, Bobby thought it was a good idea, but we have to have limitations, and we have to enforce it, the social distancing and the grouping of people.
So as far as some of the topics we talked about, testing, we can't control that, that's not part of our authority. When it comes to stuff that we have in the city here, though, we do have some control over that. My only concern is if we were to take an action that is different than what our governor is putting out. So if the governor is putting out that certain things can open or whatnot, I think we should have a discussion if we wanna go different than that.
The governor left it up to the cities and towns to decide.
Yeah.
It's up to the mayor.
So one of the problems with that is,
Council.
well, one of the issues, like when you say to open it up and stuff like that, because other places got slammed. The concern I have is all of a sudden we open up a few things for people to enjoy, and all of a sudden now we have 100 people that aren't even residents that are coming here just because they can. That would be a problem.
Like I said, I don't know how Baker Lake is doing. I haven't never really talked to anybody who's worked there, but I know.
There's a dozen cars there every day when I go
Right,
past.
yeah, I know there's cars there, but I
Let
don't know.
me put this out for, why don't we, informally, and I'm in here, every day in the morning, meet with, each one of the commissioners, when available, and come up with a plan that how maybe we can ease into this and not put ourselves in a bind. I know everybody wants to get out. I know everybody would like to, light their fire pit and have a few beers or whatever.
And I think
But
we should bring that up
We
too.
gotta do it smart, we gotta do it slow and have a plan. And if we run into a hiccup, how do we address it and move forward?
So recreational fires are still off the list too?
Well, let's.
I understand the leaves and the grass and stuff, but recreational fires, I feel like, you know, that's a little bit
Well,
different.
recreationals, and the reason that we went that way, the governor had, issued a, what was it, maximum of 10 people, and what we were trying to do is cut that out. Let's try to develop a plan that we can open them up safely and slowly.
So if we don't have 10 people, I just feel like, you know, you can't have 10 people in a bonfire, it could be an open rule. I doubt people will have 10 people right now.
Excuse me. I've been at bonfires or little fires of more than 10 people, and I think so was everybody here.
But we could ask them to disperse or,
But no, I
Take the
mean,
hose
there's
and
shelter
fire
in
up.
place. I
Okay.
mean, my husband, there's just the two of us, and we have a gas fire pit. So we're not burning
Yeah.
anything, it's just, you know, the gas fire pit. And we turned it on because it was nice, we're sitting outside, it's just the two of us.
I enjoy that.
And so part of it's the ambiance and just enjoying being outside together. Now, if I had a actual fire pit, I would have done the same, just the two of us. You know, we would not be inviting the neighborhood over.
Well, let's try to come up with some guidelines and rules, and then, slowly put into place what we can put out there. I don't have anything else except, I've got to read this. Closed session. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee or legal counsel for the public body. Also, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberation concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. 5, ILCS 120/2, small, lowercase c, in parentheses 1. Litigation, when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or intimate, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered the minutes of a closed meeting. 51LCS 120/2, small case c, in parentheses 11, to discuss the minutes of the meeting lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated. In 51 LCS 120/2, lowercase c, parentheses 21, and 5 LCS 120/2.06, in parentheses small case b.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Augubright.
I,
Cullinan. Curran.
Aye.
Mieski.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
That's the longest string I've ever seen.
Downstairs.
they said they can't hear it anyway, so just do it here.
Can't do that.
And we don't want to sign. Yeah.
You guys got angle headed.
You've been sideways?
Yeah.
You know what? Because I didn't have it.
What happened? Did it break off the thing or something?
Even though you told me right now. That's not
When
written
it's
down
switched
for me. I
this
can't-
way, it turns it sideways on the
I'm
screen.
sorry about
It's all right.
that. It's only after my turn, it's like, dang it, I could have.
I'll try to send you an email so you got it wrote down.
That's exactly what I do. I have it, you know, I don't write the whole thing out, but I have a note, so it reminds me.
On the, on
Mhm.
here, are they gonna talk about grievance? Grievance?
Just gonna mention what they are, nothing, no
Okay.
details.
Okay, very good.
I gotta try to set this so that,
chickens, or my dogs love my chickens.
Who wants to jot this down, just we can get, because we'll need, after we go back in, we're gonna have to have a motion to release, so I've got,
I'm writing the dates.
okay, I've got February 5th, 2018, May 7th, 2018, June 4th, 2018. I suppose we're gonna wait till a year.
August
People
6th.
calling in. I can't hear 'em. Yeah, August 6th, March 4th, July 1st,
August
Sorry,
5th,
too much coffee late in the day.
October 7th, and January 30th.
that's right, let's
Those
see.
are the ones I have.
August 5th, October 7th, January 30th. That's it. Okay.
Done.
Well, whatever, yeah, whoever
Those
wants
are
to
the
make the
dates that
motion,
you're
those are
gonna-
the ones that are released.
You can't
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah, you can't, you better get the Tommy.
Give it to Tommy, let me know the dates then.
I motion to release the closed session.
First, we gotta go back in the regular.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's what I
Yes.
said.
It's what, 9:03, I need a motion and second to go back into open session.
I make a motion to go back into open session?
I'll second.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Mieski,
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Just so the record's clear here, one of the matters we discussed in closed session was we reviewed a number of closed session minutes, and we have determined that, and the council, I should say, has determined that some of those closed session minutes no longer need to be closed, and we are gonna release them. So Commissioner Augubright, you have a motion to release the following.
I have a motion, I'll make a motion to release the following closed session meeting minutes. February 5th, 2018, May 7th, 2018, June 4th, 2018, August 6th, 2018, March 4th, 2019, July 1st, 2019, August 5th, 2019, October 7th, 2019, and January 30th, 2020.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
second?
I'll second.
I heard Carrie first, so. Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan, Curran,
Aye.
Mieski,
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. With, no further business,
Jim, do we have? Was that January 30th or I think that was, the correct date should have been January 20th. The closed session minutes say January 30th, but that meeting was on January 20th. I think that's a typo. Remember, we,
Yeah.
because it wasn't, we didn't meet on the 30th.
Yeah.
That's a typo.
Yeah.
So it should be, we should be releasing, they say the January 30th, 2020 closed session, but that should be corrected. That's really
Yeah.
January
Yeah.
20th.
Got
That
it.
was the meeting that, got the FOIA request in there.
I'll get it
Yeah.
corrected.
I just caught that, yeah, we just wanna make sure.
So we need to correct it or make a new motion?
We just correct it.
Okay.
Correct.
Just dawned on me.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan, Curran,
Aye.
Mieski,
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye at 9:04.